Today we're going to look at hourly wages and kind of some different information about this. This is part one. When it comes to money, the more the better. So our objective today will to learn about minimum wage, straight time, overtime, double time pay, and stacking, and see how each one affects your wages. So the first thing we're going to talk about is minimum wage. Minimum wage is the lowest amount of money you are allowed to be paid for 1 hour of work as defined by the law. In the state of Indiana, the minimum wage rate is $7.25. These laws change by state and can change yearly. The federal government also sets a national minimum wage. You will be paid whichever of these two rates, state or federal, is higher. How much is minimum wage where you live? And this is a website that you can go to check to see what the current minimum wage is. Straight time. Straight time is your normal hourly wage if you work up to 40 hours in a week. For example, your job pays you $10 an hour. For the first 40 hours each week that you work, you earn a straight time rate of $10 each hour. Overtime is the normal hourly wage times 1.5 for every hour that you work over 40 hours in a work week. This could be for any hours worked in a single day over 8 hours. An example, your job will still pay you $10 an hour, but if you work 45 hours in a week, the extra 5 hours of overtime are paid at $15 an hour. That'd be 10 times 1.5 gets us 15. Double time is the normal hourly wage times 2 for every hour that you work under special circumstances. For example, your job still pays you $10 an hour, but if you work 8 hours on Christmas Day, your company may offer you to pay you double time for those hours. That is 10 times 2, which is $20 an hour. Stacking is the math used by your company to determine if your hours worked are straight time or overtime hours. For example, you work 20 hours on Monday and 20 hours on Tuesday. If you stack those hours on top of each other, you have worked 40 hours that week. Any additional hours you work will now earn overtime. However, your company also has the option of paying straight time for the first 8 hours of each day, no matter how many hours you have already worked that week. For example, Monday, 8 hours straight time, 12 hours of overtime. Tuesday, 8 hours of straight time, 12 hours of overtime. You've already at 40 hours that week, but for Wednesday, 8 hours of straight time. They can do this because they are calculating overtime daily instead of weekly. Ask. Every company has a different policy for how they figure overtime. You'll need to ask your manager to figure out what the policy is where you work. Questions. If your wage is $10 per hour, how much would you be paid for overtime? How much would you be paid for double time? How much would you be paid for straight time?